In today's episode, I am just going to talk. I usually sit here before I record a podcast episode, and I usually have a topic that I'll talk about and a few bullet points of what I want to get across, and then maybe a lesson that I want you to take away from the recording. And I was just thinking back to how a few years ago I used to just turn up and do live sessions on a Monday, and I'd just literally not plan it. I just talk about what's going on in my life, what's happening. And they resonated with people because usually what's going on in my life is going on in other people's lives. So I'm just going to talk today. And there is a premise of covering words matter and having solid foundations. These are the two things. I have no idea where this is going to go. I'm just going to talk and see what comes out. So let's get stuck in. So, words matter. That's a phrase that has been cropping up in my world in the last week. So I rent the house that I'm in right now, and I was given notice not long ago, which came as a big shock from the landlord. So there's been issues with the house for a while. I'd asked them to sort it out. They said they couldn't sort it out. We had damp and things like that. Anyway, to cut a long story short, I asked them again recently to come back because the damp on my son's bedroom wall was pretty bad. And they wanted to put the rent up. So I said, happy to put the rent up as soon as the work's been finished. And they'd come round a few weeks before that conversation to say, you've been such a loyal tenant. I've been here 8 years. We want to put this house right. It should not have gone on this long. Apologies, blah, 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 blah. And I was thinking, wow, thank you. I felt valued as a person. And I thought, thank you, that'd be great. Anyway, once I said I'd put the rent up after the work was completed, I got notice to say, we appreciate that the work is inconvenient. However, we are issuing you notice to move out. And I was like, what? Where did that come from? So it was a big shock. And I remember I got the email when I was in the car park. I was doing the school run. So I was in tears in the car park because I'm a single parent living here by myself with my children. And we've been here 8 years. It's been our family home for 8 years. They've been here since they were babies. So we've made lots of memories in this house. I was already thinking about moving. That's been on my radar for 3 years. And it's been on my vision board for a long time as well. So I have a vision board where it's around here somewhere. I map out all the things in my life that I'd like. And interestingly, actually, that board, I have kind of manifested everything on that board except for the house. It's really interesting. And I'm going to be talking more about this when we do our Best Year Yet workshop. So if you haven't ever done a Best Year Yet workshop, they will start in January. And we do a big planning session together, dreaming big for next year and how to put plans into place and things like that. So that will be coming soon. Listen out for the sign up for that. But what I was thinking was actually on that vision board, the house has never been the thing that I've pursued. And I've just put it down to just being comfortable with where I am. It ticks boxes. We've got good space here. The rent is reasonable. And there are things that I don't like, but there are lots of things that I do like. So anyway, I just put up with it. So when the news came, because it's not my decision and now I'm being turfed out, this is what happened. And this is why I say words matter, because I was very upset and angry the way that they did it, the way that they kind of built it up to that they were going to look after me and then just dropped me. And so I was angry. And so what I found myself saying over and over again is that I'm being evicted. And I kept saying to people, this awful thing's happened. I'm being chucked out of my house. I'm being evicted. And I was using all these dramatic words because I'm angry, because that's how I feel. I feel like I'm being chucked out and I'm scared and I'm feeling vulnerable as a human being. And so I found myself using these words and it was not helping, because then what that was doing it was great for a short time. So it helped for a few hours for me to get this off my chest and out my system and be angry and be upset. It helped for that short amount of time. And then actually, what I realized is using all this dramatic wording is not helping me, because it is actually making me feel vulnerable by giving the feeling of vulnerability power through the words that I'm using. I'm making myself feel even more vulnerable. Does that make sense? So I feel scared, but by telling everyone how scared I am, by telling everyone that I've been evicted and using these words, actually was becoming unhelpful. I find a line in my life where reaching out to someone and saying that I'm scared because I've been given notice on my house and I don't know what that means for me and my family is helpful. Reaching out for help and asking people and telling people that, then there's a line where it crosses to being unhelpful, where going around saying it over and over and over again and saying these thoughts, even in my head, unhelpful. Because what it was doing was giving that power to then feeling vulnerable, scared even more, and then starting to make silly decisions based on fear, and also starting to paint horrific pictures in my head about what the future means now and the type of place where we're going to have to live, and cutting back and doing all these things. And then coming from a place of lack, I could see within a week the whole situation spiraling in my mind. And this is why I say now words matter, because what I've recognized is the words that I choose to reach out to people and ask for help matter. But the words that I keep repeating over and over again, and the scenarios that I keep telling myself I'm going to be in, and the situation I'm heading in, and I need to do this, they no, they're not serving me. They're not helping me. And I wanted to share, it brings back memories of a time when I separated from my husband and became a single parent, because that moment of that happening sent me into a panic. And I remember people saying to me, you're going to have to really cut back now. Life will be hard for you now. You're going to struggle financially. How are you going to cope? I remember lots of people saying this to me, all with good intention probably, but they were saying, oh my gosh, what are you going to do? What are you going to do by yourself? It's going to be so hard for you. And what are you going to do financially? Oh my God, you won't be able to go on holidays anymore. And these things were actually said to me. And it fueled the fear inside of me. And I started to believe all of that for a while as well. And I started to look at, really, because I was living in this house when we separated. And my initial reaction was, I'm going to have to leave. And I started looking at houses that were just not right. And it was really interesting, because I remember at that point back then thinking, in that moment, looking at these houses and thinking about my new future as a single parent and what it's going to look like, and no holidays and no this, no that. And I remember sitting there thinking, does it have to be this way? And I might have listened to someone's podcast or listened to something that made me think, why does it have to be that way? Why do I have to put my life on hold? Why do I have to downgrade my house to live somewhere different? Why do I have to do this? Why do I have to do that? I remember in that moment, and I wish I could remember what turned my thinking around, thinking, no, I am not going to accept this. And I just totally flipped it to, I'm going to stay in this house, and I'm going to find a way to stay in this house. And I want to take my children on holiday. I want to find a way to take them on holiday. I just planted the seed. I didn't know how I was going to do it. I didn't know how I was going to stay in this house, and flipped it around to the possibilities instead. Again, words matter. The words that you say to yourself and the way you reframe things is so important, because that's what I found myself doing in the last few weeks. By being thrown into this situation has made me start to question and tell myself, I can't afford to move right now. I can't afford to live in a house the same as this. I would really like to buy. I don't have enough deposit. I haven't been saving enough. I've, all these things. So now that means I'm going to have to do this, and it means this. And And I could feel the lack, and we're going to have to cut back, and we're going to have to do this. And I'm going to have, I was saying to my members the other day when we were on a studio session, I'm going to have the cheapest Christmas I've ever had in my life. And, and I'm still going to do that, but not out of desperation, out of choice. And I just find myself saying these things, and I can see myself heading towards a lack mindset. And a lack mindset is one of, oh my gosh, I've got to do this. And oh my gosh, out of fear. And it was really interesting where I just suddenly thought, of course, cutting back is sensible. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with going through, let's just go through, what do I need to keep? What do I need to get rid of? Let's sell some things. Let's bring some money in. Let's get some flow in. But also reframing it. And my members were great because they were saying to me, go for the dream house. But I haven't been. I've been like, got to be sensible now to actually, what is wrong with carrying on and actually turning it around and not cutting back and finding a way to carry on living the way I live. And, it's really interesting, the words that we use and the questions we ask ourselves. It's important. So this translates to everything in life, doesn't it? Even if you're making your artwork, the questions, words matter, the questions that you ask yourself. If you're making a piece of artwork and it's not going well, and you start to go, oh, this bit's crap, and I'm so rubbish with colour, I'm so rubbish with this. And they're not useful words to use, are they, in that moment? Actually, the useful words are, this artwork isn't working right now. What is it that's not working about it? What can I do to improve it? They're the useful words. And this is why words matter in any scenario. When we are putting an exhibition together, I've been working with people inside our 7 Keys course right now, and some people have got their first ever exhibition. Sapna, I'm talking to you. And it's really easy in those situations to put loads of pressure on ourselves and want everything to be right. And I understand that you've worked so hard towards this moment and you want everything to be perfect and for people to turn up and for you to have done everything that you can. And in those moments, this is where I see people then start to use language. I need to do this. I need to have this done. I need to get this outcome. And actually, again, words matter because we don't need to tick all the boxes and put all that pressure on ourselves and make ourselves ill. We can go into it with, this is who I am right now. This is what I have. Knowing that I've done as much as I can on this. Do I need all of these things? And again, words matter. Questioning, do I have to put all this pressure on myself? Actually, what do I need for this? If I was going to do the bare minimum? And this is a great quote from my mentor, Stu. He always says to me, Michelle, what is the 20% you need to do to get 80% of the results that you want? It's really powerful. What's the 20% you need to do to get the 80% of the results that you want? Because quite often we're aiming for the 100%. And actually, what is the 20% I need to do? What is the basic that I need to do to get the 80%? Don't need to aim for 100%. And that's another thing that I use in my life. Again, words matter. It comes back to words mattering because what we ask ourselves, the questions that we ask ourselves matter. Instead of saying to ourselves, how do I get this piece of work to be the best it can possibly be? And how can I, make this the most perfect outcome, which is good to have. But again, it goes back to what I was saying at the beginning, where reaching out for help to say that I'm scared is helpful. But by repeatedly now saying it in my own head and feeling that on a daily basis, 24/7, is not helping me. It's actually bringing up weird thoughts. And so it's recognizing that, is it helpful or is it not helpful? And if you've drawn the line with perfectionism taking over and you're putting so much pressure on yourself to have this amazing piece of artwork and now you're not enjoying the process anymore and it's this like, or you've got this show and you can't sleep at night, you're not eating, that's the time to change the words, the questions you're asking yourself. What is the 20% that I need to do to get 80% of the results? I don't need to get 100%. And so, that feels good to have got this out. I had no idea where this talk was going to go today, but it's something that I'm really heavily focusing on right now. It's what I'm saying to myself. Is this useful? Bringing things back to what is the 20% that I need to do? And also reframing things, being really mindful of coming from a place of lack when it might be the place that I am in right now or that I'm feeling, but actually, can we turn this around to feel good about this situation? Because you feel more empowered then to take action and to move things forward and to find a solution rather than being defeated by the situation. So my situation is being given notice on the house and how it sent me into a spin, and I've started to make these crazy decisions. And it might be for you in terms of making your own art or selling your art, and something has happened. It might be that you didn't get the sale or you didn't get the yes for a gallery entry, and it then sends your head into, maybe then I can't show in galleries. Maybe I should just stop creating art in the first place. Maybe I am not good at art. Maybe I'm rubbish. Those unhelpful thoughts of actually, I just got one no, and what do I need to do now? Who's the next person that I need to go to? Or if I really want to get into that place, what can I do next time to get that yes? Go and ask them. It's that flipping around, isn't it? Of how can I turn this around? How can I keep this going? If it's a situation that you've been accustomed to and now it's been taken away from you, how can I carry on doing this? How can I push forwards? These are the words that are helpful. So really be mindful of the words that you are using. They matter. They matter in so many situations. And sometimes they creep up on you and you can lose your mind and go into a place where you're telling yourself certain things, you're making decisions based on fear and lack, minimizing things when actually you can be expanding and focusing on abundance in different ways. Right now, I want to also add the whole energy of the world is weird at the moment. And there can be some negativity around money and cash flow and abundance, because at the moment we're seeing everything in the news around increases in cost of living and mortgage rates here in the UK, and it can really send us into panic. And like I said at the beginning, helpful things like, yeah, definitely cut back on things, and we have to maybe think of smarter ways of living and working, which is helpful, isn't it? That's helpful. But when it crosses the line to then living in fear and lack and making those decisions and keeping small, not helpful, they're then the words that we use. How can I make sure that I'm not impacted by this crisis that we're living in? How can I move forwards with this? These questions helpful, and knowing that this time will pass, and those kinds of words helpful. So there we are. There's my musings for this week. And next week, I'm going to be back doing some kind of focus around selling and making money. I haven't quite got my head around it yet because I'm trying to find somewhere else to live. But I really feel that the world needs some focus at the moment, and our community, around money and around, earning money and focusing on that, and it being okay to do that and getting excited about that. So that's what's coming. Keep a listen out for that in the next coming week or so. Okay. Have a wonderful, wonderful week, and pay attention to your words. Take care. Bye bye.